Hello students, in this session we are going to discuss about the ionization energy, ionic radius and electron affinity. So what is ionization energy? It's defined as the minimum amount of energy required to remove the most loosely bounded electron from the valence shell of the isolated neutral gaseous atom in its ground state. Its unit is kilojoule per mole or in electron volt EV. Okay, so the energy required to remove the electron, that is most loosely bounded electron. If you take an example, sodium atom, the electronic structure is the first shell there are 2 electrons present in it, second shell there are 8 electrons, and last shell, that is valence shell, it has 1 electron, isn't it? It loses this valence electron and become sodium ion, that is first shell same 2 electron, second shell we are having 8 electrons, but the third shell is gone, isn't it? Because we have removed the last electron. So it becomes a cation. Why? Because it has 1 electron lesser than the number of protons. In atomic state, it has equal number of protons and electrons, isn't it? 11 protons and 11 electrons. But in the ionic state, it loses an electron, so the protons remain the same, that is 11, but the electron is 1 lesser than the atom, that is it has only 10 electrons. So we are having 1 electron lesser than the neutral atom, so it has a positive charge, that is cation. So generally we can represent it as any metal in gaseous state lost an electron to become a cation, and for this process we have to supply some amount of energy, that is called ionization energy, IE. Here the 1 represents the first ionization energy, that means the removal of the first electron. Suppose if you remove second electron, it is E2, for third electron it is E3, E4 and so on. Okay, the successive ionization energies are always higher than the they are following increasing pattern. So this is because the first electron removed form a cation. If you again remove 1 electron from this cation, you have to supply more energy than the previous one. This is because look the size of the atomic states and the ionic states of lithium. The atomic state size is around 152 picometer, but if you remove an electron it becomes lithium cation. The size also reduced to 60 ppm, almost 60% reduced. Likewise, for all the atoms the radius are decreasing in the ionic state. This is because the increased effective nuclear charge. Again, look at this an example. If you take lithium atom, the electronic configuration is 1s2 2s1. So if you calculate the effective nuclear charge, so we have to determine the S value first, isn't it? So by Slater rules we apply the S values for the last electron, that is 2s1 electron. The n-1 shell is first shell, it contains 2 electrons and each contribute 0.85 value, therefore 1.70. So the effective nuclear charge is Z minus S, so it is the atomic number. So here 3 minus 1.70, the answer is 1.30 for atomic state of lithium. In case of ion, lithium plus, we have removed the last electron, so its electronic configuration become 1s2. No electron present in the 2s1. So here you can calculate the effective nuclear charge for lithium ion. The answer is 2.70. You can see the values. The atomic state, it has 1.30, but in the ionic state it has 2.70. It's higher, isn't it? This is the reason why the size of the ions are getting smaller than the neutral atom. Okay, so the successive ionization energies also increases. So if you remove an electron, that is first electron, you have to supply some amount of energy. If you want to again remove another electron from that cation, you have to apply more energy than the previous case, and so on. Okay. Next, what about the ionic radius? We have already learned how to determine the atomic radius, isn't it? But the ionic radius are very much different than the atomic radius because the size are getting decreased. So how can we calculate the ionic radius? The ionic radius is defined as the distance from the center of the nucleus of the ion up to which it exerts its influence on the electron cloud on the ion. Okay, so we have to calculate in a different manner. We have to apply different steps, measures to calculate the ionic radius. One of our scientists, Pauling, has introduced a method to calculate the ionic radius, and he mentioned the ionic distance between the nucleus of the cation and anion. He assumed all cations and anions having the spherical structure, that is sphere structure. So the interatomic distance d, which is equal to the radius of the cation and the radius of the anion, just like what we have discussed in the atomic structure, radius of atom A and radius of atom B. Here we are mentioning cations and anion instead of A and B. Okay, he takes isoelectronic ions. What are isoelectronic ions? That is ions having same electronic configuration or having the noble gas electronic configuration, that is completely filled configuration. He has taken sodium ion and fluorine, not chlorine. You can change this into F. Okay, if you remove an electron from the sodium and if you add an electron to the fluorine, the electronic configuration becomes 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, isn't it? Sodium, we are having the electronic configuration of 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1. If you remove it, it becomes 1s2, 2s2, 2p6 only. The case of fluorine, we are having only 9 electrons. So the last p shell having only 5 electrons in it. If you add an extra electron, the 2p shell gains and it becomes 2p6. So two ions having the same electronic configuration. So he chosen this type of ions, and by using them he can calculate the ionic radius of the cations and anions. He proposed that the radius of an ion, cations or anion, is inversely proportional to the effective nuclear charge of the respective ions. That is, the radius of cation is directly inversely proportional to the effective nuclear charge of the cation. Or if you measure the radius of an anion, it is inversely proportional to the effective nuclear charge of the anion. So what's the effective nuclear charge? We already know that EFF is equal to Z minus S. If you divide the equation 2 by 3, you can get this equation, final equation, that is radius of cation divided by radius of anion is equal to effective nuclear charge of anion by effective nuclear charge of the cation. Okay. For example, we can calculate the radius of sodium ion and fluorine ion by this Pauling's method. He determined the inter-ionic distance between the sodium ion and fluorine is equal to 231 picometer. And by his formula, we know that radius of cation by anion is equal to effective nuclear charge of anion by cation. Here the anion is fluorine, cation is sodium. Then you have to find the effective nuclear charge of the anions and cation respectively. So for fluorine, the Z value is 9, and if you calculate the S value, you will get 4.15. So the effective nuclear charge value of fluorine is 4.85. Here the sodium, the atomic number is 11. The S value is same, isn't it? Because two ions possess the same electronic configuration. So it's also gaining 4.15. So the answer is 6.85. So the ratio becomes radius of sodium plus divided by radius of fluorine minus equal to 4.85 divided by 6.85. The ratio is 6.71. So if you cross multiply that, fluorine goes to right hand side, the radius of sodium is equal to 0.71 into radius of fluorine. So the radius of sodium ion is equal to 0.71 multiple of radius of fluorine. If you apply this value in this equation, it becomes 0.71 radius of fluorine plus radius of fluorine equal to 231 picometer. So here 1 plus 0.71, 1.71, which is equal to 231 picometer. So fluorine, radius of fluorine ions equal to 231 by 1.71. The answer is 135.1 picometer. So we determine the radius of fluorine. So simply substitute this value in the first equation. So radius of cation plus 135.1 is equal to 231. So the radius of sodium ions is equal to 95.9 picometer. Okay, this is the method Pauling's used to determine the ionic radius. The next one is the variation of ionic energy along period and group. We already know that from left to right, the size of the atom become smaller, isn't it? From left to right, the electrons are added in the same energy level. So in the meantime, protons also added in the nucleus. So the attractive force are more from left to right. So the size of the atom gets decreases. We already discussed in the last class. So we can expect, if you travel from left to right, the energy required to remove electron from the last shell becomes higher. ஏன்னா left right போக சைஸ் சின்னதாகிட்டே இருக்கும். சைஸ் குறைய நியூக்ளியஸ்க்கு பக்கத்தில் எலக்ட்ரான் இருக்கும். ஸோ நியூக்ளியஸ் பக்கத்தில் இருக்கும்போது அட்ராக்டிவ் ஃபோர்ஸ் ரொம்ப அதிகமாக இருக்கும். அட்ராக்டிவ் ஃபோர்ஸ் அதிகமாக இருந்துச்சுன்னா ரிமூவ் பண்ணுறது கஷ்டம். நம்ம ரொம்ப எனர்ஜியை கொடுத்து தான் அதை உடச்சி வெளியில் எடுக்கணும். இதைத்தான் நம்ம எக்ஸ்பெக்ட் பண்ணுவோம். அட் த சேம் டைம் ஒரு குரூப்பில் போகும்போது மேலேருந்து கீழே ஃப்ரம் டாப் டு பாட்டம், இஃப் யூ ட்ராவல் இன் ஏ குரூப், த சைஸ் ஆர் பிகம்ஸ் லார்ஜர். சைஸ் பெருசாகும்போது the nuclear distance between the nucleus and the outer electron are increased. அப்போ எலக்ட்ரானுக்கும் நியூக்ளியஸ்க்கும் நடுவில் டிஸ்டன்ஸ் அதிகமாகும்போது the attractive force become smaller. ஏன்னா நிறைய டிஸ்டன்ஸ் இருக்குல்ல, தூரம் அதிகமாக அந்த எலக்ட்ரானை புரோட்டான், தட் இஸ் நியூக்ளியஸ் பவர்ஃபுல்லாக அட்ராக்ட் பண்ணாது. அது மட்டும் இல்லாமல் we have already discussed the shielding effect, isn't it? ஸோ ஃபஸ்ட்டு நியூக்ளியஸ்க்கும் அண்ட் லாஸ்ட் எலக்ட்ரான் நடுவில் நிறைய நம்பர் ஆஃப் இன்னர் எலக்ட்ரான்ஸ் இருக்கும். These inner electrons decrease the force of attraction acting on the valence electron. So the ionization energy decreases along the group. So you can see the ionization energy of lithium is greater than sodium, and sodium greater than potassium, and so on, rubidium and cesium. It follows this decreasing manner. The ionization energy decreased along a group. Okay, this is because of the two reasons, the size factor and the shielding effect of the inner electrons. What about the period? We expect from left to right the ionization energy are increased. It's also follow the same manner, but there are some deviations in it. From lithium to beryllium the energy increased, but from beryllium to boron the ionization energy decreased. From boron to nitrogen it increases in manner. In nitrogen to oxygen, nitrogen has more energy than oxygen. From oxygen it increases. So why these two fluctuation, beryllium to boron and nitrogen to oxygen? What's the reason for this deviation in the change in ionization energy along a period? For this reason, for analyze this, we have to understand the electronic configuration matters. We already know that the electronic configuration, that is half filled and completely filled, are stable, isn't it? You can know the electronic configuration of beryllium and boron, isn't it? The atomic number of beryllium is 4. So what's the electronic configuration? 1s2 and 2s2. For boron, it is 1s2, 2s2, 2p1. It has 5 protons in it. So 1s2, 2s2, 2p1. So which possesses the stable electronic configuration? Beryllium, isn't it? Because it has completely filled 2s orbital, so it is more stable than the boron. So beryllium has 899 kilojoule per mole energy to remove an electron, but in the case of boron, it requires only 800 kilojoule per mole. Like that, the nitrogen and oxygen. Nitrogen has in the half-filled configuration, that is 2p3, 1s2, 2s2, 2p3, but oxygen, it is 2p4. So half-filled stable, it is oxygen has neither half or full-filled configuration. So nitrogen has more energy than the oxygen. Okay. Next chapter is electron affinity. It's just like the ionization energy, we remove an electron. Here the reverse concept is applied. We have to add an electron. So the energy released when an electron is added to the valence shell of an electron, valence electrode of an isolated neutral gaseous atom. ஸோ எலக்ட்ரானை ஆட் பண்ணும்போது அந்த ஆட் ஆகும்போது ஒரு ஆனையான் ஃபார்ம் ஆகுது. அந்த ஆனையான் ஃபார்மேஷன் அப்போ சம் அமௌண்ட் ஆஃப் எனர்ஜி ரிலீஸ் ஆகுது. அந்த எனர்ஜிக்கு பேர் தான் எலக்ட்ரான் அஃபினிட்டி. இட்ஸ் யூனிட் இஸ் கிலோஜூல் per mole. Okay. Here also the same pattern in a period. So from left to right, the size of the atom decreased. Okay, so size சிறுசாக the attractive force between the nucleus and the added electron becomes larger. So you can expect from left to right the electron affinity value increases, but there is a deviation in it. Okay, you can see from lithium to beryllium the energy decreases, then beryllium to carbon it increases, again there is a sharp decrease, then it increases, goes to maximum and then falls into positive value. The zero mark is here. You can see beryllium, nitrogen possess almost zero electron affinity, though the atomic number of lithium is greater than atomic number of beryllium is greater than that of lithium, and nitrogen having greater atomic number than carbon, it has zero electron affinities. This is because of the electronic configuration. Again, completely filled and half filled configuration, they neither accept nor gain electrons easily, so they have zero electron affinities. The case of inert gases, they have completely filled configuration. In the extreme conditions, that means we supply energy, they can accept electron. Okay, but for lithium and boron, carbon, they readily accept electron and release energy because they neither have the completely filled or half filled configuration. You can see the fluorine has a peak value, that is it has more electron affinity value because it has 5 electron in its p shell. The total electrons present in the outer shell is 7. To gain octet configuration, it requires only 1 electron, so it readily accepts an electron and form anion. That's why fluorine has the most electron affinity value. okay, in this series. From groups, okay, you know, from top to bottom the size of the atom are larger, so the electron affinity value getting smaller, isn't it? Because மேலேருந்து கீழே இறங்க இறங்க சைஸ் பெருசாகுது, சைஸ் பெருசாகும் போது அட்ராக்டிவ் ஃபோர்ஸ் குறையும், அப்போ எலக்ட்ரானை அக்செப்ட் பண்ணுற வேல்யூவும் என்ன செஞ்சுட்டே இருக்கும், ரெடியூஸ் ஆகிக்கிட்டே தான் இருக்கும். அப்போ ஃப்ளூரினை விட குளோரின் குறையணும், அதோட புரோமின் குறையும், ஐடின் குறையும், இருக்கிறதுலே ஏடி தான் ரொம்ப கம்மியாக இருக்கும். ஆனால் there is a deflection. Fluorine has lesser electronegative value than chlorine. Okay, though the size of the fluorine and chlorine கம்பேர் பண்ணிங்கன்னா ஃப்ளூரின் தான் சைஸ் சின்னது, அப்போ நியூக்ளியஸ் பக்கத்தில் தான் எலக்ட்ரான் இருக்கும், குளோரின் சைஸ் பெருசு, நியூக்ளியஸ் விட்டு ரொம்ப தூரத்தில் இருக்கும். ஆனாலும் fluorine has lesser electronegative affinity value than chlorine. This is because the same reason, the size factors தான். Here the size of the fluorine is very much smaller, so crowding effect occurs. So smaller space and space குள்ள number of electrons அதிகமாகிறதுனால the electron repulsive force இன்னும் அதிகமாகுது. But in the case of chlorine, it has size greater than the fluorine, so the electron repulsion force reduce ஆகுது. அப்போ அக்செப்ஷன், எலக்ட்ரான் அக்செப்ட் பண்ணுற எபிலிட்டி இன்க்ரீஸ் ஆகுது. அதனால் ஃப்ளூரினை விட குளோரினுக்கு அதிகமான எலக்ட்ரான் அஃபினிட்டி வேல்யூ இருக்குது. இங்கே சைஸ் சின்னதாக இருக்குது, இங்கே சைஸ் பெருசாகுது. ஸ்மாலர் the size, greater will be the repulsive force between the added electron and the presented electrons. Here the repulsive force are lesser than the fluorine case. So fluorine has lesser electron affinity than chlorine. Okay, so not only fluorine and chlorine, you can see oxygen and sulfur also having the same concepts. Oxygen having smaller electron affinity value than sulfur. The same reason likewise followed in the fluorine and chlorine case. Okay, so thank you students, I hope you understand the concept. Meet you in the next lesson class.